So I did a video about Jorge Masvidal coming back and him signing with Dominance MMA. I went to potential matchups you can make with Masvidal, but Tyron Woodley seems to be serious about returning to MMA. This news came out a few months ago. I never really looked into it that much, but I want to get into one why it would make sense for the UFC to bring him back, who he would fight, and if he doesn't come back to the UFC, um, I'll get into that too. Because, like, many of my videos, I talk specifically about the fights, but in order to talk about, um, things like bringing back Masvidal, things like bringing back Tyron Woodley, you gotta talk about the business side of the UFC. And the business side of the UFC isn't doing so great. UFC 300 was a big hit. UFC 303 was a big hit. From what I hear, Fight Nights are selling out, but they have had a lot of piss poor pay-per-views this year that have either not delivered or sold poorly. And we can get into the list of reasons of why, but I think part of that reason, or the main reason I should say, is inactivity by these contenders. And say you bring back Masvidal, you bring back Woodley. You know, Woodley, or Wonderboy just fought. He got knocked out, so I don't think he'll be back that soon. Well, like, maybe bringing back these veterans will get these up and coming fighters to be active. And now, I don't want them to bring back these guys, push them to a title shot immediately. I'll get into that with Tyron Woodley. Um, just to get the pay-per-view buys and all that. So, with Tyron Woodley, right? When he left the UFC, he was on a 3-fight skid. I think his last was Woodley, or not Woodley, Vicente Luque, if I remember correctly. I am just gonna pull his record up here just to be sure that I'm not blanking. And then also we're gonna get yeah, it was a four fight losing streak if you count the Usman loss. But I kind of think that in that Usman fight, Usman broke Woodley, dude. Like that fight with Usman. That was before Usman got his striking in that one. He knocked out Masvidal and Gilbert Burns. But he did not look good in that fight. And then he comes back against Gilbert Burns and he still doesn't look good. Like, he wasn't putting in the effort that you need to put into a fight. And I'm not gonna knock, like I said, a former welterweight champion, with 5 title defenses, if I'm pretty sure. Well, like, when he went on, I'll get into his title defenses in a sec. He went on the skid, lost to Gilbert Burns unanimously, and then unanimously, and then he was gonna lose to Colby Covington by a unanimous decision, but he pulled his rib apparently in that fight, and then his last fight in the UFC was a first round submission to Vicente Luque, who Vicente Luque is good, but he's not championship caliber, as we see. But, like, before that, right, he choked out Darren Till. He beat Damian Maia by unanimous decision. Uh, he beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by a majority. Before that, he had the fight with Stephen Thompson that was really close and went to a majority draw. And he knocked out Robbie Lawler in the first round to get the belt. Robbie Lawler, you know, we don't even need to get into his championship run right now. Although I do want to do a video on him because he is one of my favorite fighters. But like, okay. Then you gotta talk about him getting knocked out by Jake Paul. So I guess it's 5 in a row. But if you're bringing back Tyron Woodley, you're not banking on him running for a title. I don't think so. We've seen it happen before, like with Couture and with a few other people. TJ Dillashaw got a title shot pretty quickly after returning off of suspension after 2 years. I guess it's a different conversation. Well, like, you look at welterweight right now. Neil Magny, really good power. Probably won't ever get into the top 5. Vicente Luque, Tyron Woodley lost to in the first round. Vicente Luque isn't a top welterweight contender. I love watching Vicente Luque fight, though. I want to make that clear. MVP, if he got into the UFC anytime sooner, probably would be a top guy, but he's just too old. Michael Morales, we have to see with him. Wonderboy Thompson just got knocked out by Joaquin Buckley. He's 42. You can do another Wonderboy Thompson fight. Maybe that sells. Jeff Neal, I think is just a horrible matchup for Tyron Woodley after being knocked out twice. Joaquin Buckley, I could see the UFC making that fight just to give Buckley the star power, which pretty much becomes the only reason you match Woodley up with anybody above Jeff Neal. Right. And that's what I want to talk about. Say you bring back Tyron Woodley, right? You give him to the loser of Ian Gary Joaquin Buckley. Because since we're getting that fight at the end of the year, these are both 2 up-and-coming guys that are undefeated at welterweight. And look, like Savage, like Joaquin Buckley is one of my favorite fighters coming up right now. I think he is insanely good. But, like, I don't think you're going to get many fights for my 42-year-old Woodley. But, you know, from the UFC's perspective, they want to make the most money. They want to build the biggest stars. Say you bring back Woodley, you give him to an up-and-comer like Buckley. Buckley has a phenomenal performance against him. Yes, it's against a 42-year-old Woodley, but that's just another name on that guy's resume that you can then promote off of, right? That was the idea with Nate Diaz Hamzat Chimaev before everybody in the UFC community realized and called the UFC out for the bullshit. Also, by the way, apparently Sean Brady and JDM are tied for 4th. I don't know if that's a typo or not, but that's kind of funny. But like, I don't know. With Jorge Masvidal, you have fights you can make right off the bat. Make the Diaz rematch. make the Leon Edwards fight because you already sold that fight. And say he comes back, beats Edwards, he beat the number one contender and former champion. He's right back up there in the mix. Do I think he would last up there? Probably not. But like, see, I think if Woodley returns at middleweight, I think Woodley at middleweight makes more sense. Because when you look at welterweight is one of the most stacked divisions out there. I'd say featherweight for sure is the most stacked. Bantamweight, flyweight, lightweight, like these lighter weight classes, to be honest, are stacked. And if you want to argue about all-time rosters, this is the best roster I've ever seen in my life. Again, you have insanely athletic heavyweights, and Jones, Aspinall, Stipe Miocic, Volkov, Blades. Like it's a different sport, right? But if these top contenders aren't gonna fight, if the top five guys are gonna fight as frequently as champions, why not sign a Jorge? Why not sign a Woodley and put on a bunch of fan service fights, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, you're not bringing back Woodley and Jorge or anybody else you want to bring back for a title run. If it happens, wicked. They can promote, say Woodley goes on a wicked fucking run, and they can promote the old guard coming back to reclaim his throne. That could sell. And I mean, everybody hates Bilal Muhammad, so I feel like that's a fight where Tyron Woodley will be cheered on by the fans, right? But I don't know if that says something about the UFC. I don't know if that says something about Tyron Woodley or about these contenders or all three. But like usually I would be completely against bringing back these old guys that got knocked out, that lost multiple fights, right? But I mean, nobody's fighting, right? That's the problem with the UFC. That's why we see Alex Pereira come back every 3 to 4 months. He has a hand injury he's nursing. Well, he'll be back in February because none of these other guys are defending their belts. None of these top contenders are being active. Magomed Ankalaev, rightfully number one contender, but if he was active, there would be no doubt he would have had his title shot right now. I know he's on a ridiculous win streak, but activity is everything in this sport. If you want the fans to respect you, you gotta be active. Not many people like Israel Adesanya as champion. He was active. Not many people like Kamaru Usman when he was champion. He was active. Not many people like Tyron Woodley like he was an active champion, right? And maybe bringing back these old guys would light a fire under some of these fighters to get out there, to be active, to put on performances. Like, it's not even a matter of the top 15 in these weight classes at this point. the non-ranked guys are fucking animals. Like, Neil Magny is at 15th, but there are at least like fucking 13 welterweights I know that are either recently signed from the Contender Series that you can look at and be like, holy fuck, this guy probably might be the best welterweight in the UFC, and we won't get to see it for years. It's annoying, right? Sean Brady is a prime example. Sean Brady, obviously it doesn't look good when you get knocked out by Bilal Muhammad, who can't finish a fight to save his life. But I mean, when he was on his come up, dude, he was, he was putting on unreal performances. Like, see, like he was fighting like twice a year, right? If he kept up that pace, that's how you get to the title. That's how you get the fans to like you. Especially if you're one of these guys with the heavy wrestling based styles. Activity is how you get fans. Alex Pereira has a fan service style, but his activity is what brings him fans. John Jones' inactivity is what's making him lose fans. Bilal Muhammad. I'm not gonna shit on Bilal. He got injured. He won the belt at UFC 304. But I mean, still though, I want to see him defend his belt 2 to 3 times. Izzy did it. Usman did it. All these other champions did it. It used to be only the heavyweight championship was the one where you would only see it once a year. And when you think about that one, it makes sense because heavyweight, big dudes, a lot of power. One of them gets knocked out, or even the injuries that you get from being punched by a 265-pound dude in the head repeatedly for however many rounds your fight is. That takes more of a toll on you than, some of these lighter weight classes. And I can give certain heavier fighters the benefit of the doubt. Well, like I said, dude, if Woodley wants to come back, if he wants to fight, fuck it, nobody else is fighting, throw him on there. I mean, you already got judges rigging fights. Allegedly. But I mean, I don't even think that's the UFC's fault. I think these judges are rigging the fights against the UFC somehow. But I don't know. I just wanted to talk about Woodley coming back, and I don't know. Let me know if what I'm saying makes sense, and bringing Woodley back, using star power to build more stars. Or do you think, 42 probably should hang it up? Which, I'm not saying is the wrong answer. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Later.